Well, last winter, my rear wiper didn't park one day at work, and it sat there and tried to park all day, and it ran my battery down on one of the 20 below zero days, which was a fun day. But decided to rip this thing apart. New ones cost over $100. See if I can maybe find something going on with it. And you could see the incredible amount of dirt and corrosion that was around that shaft. I literally had to beat that thing out of there to get it out. So I'm going to attempt to clean this up and pack it with something. I'm not sure what, but maybe a graphite base never sees or something like that. But this is just ridiculous. This is out of my Ford Escape, and it only has 35,000 miles on it, but about the only time I ever drive it is to work back home, and it's already this bad. I think Ford needs to think of a better way of sealing that end. There's this little plastic cone that slides down in there that gets held in with the actual wiper itself, and it's obviously doesn't do the job. I hear a lot of people having trouble with these, and naturally they just pull a thing off and spend the $100 and pop the other one back on, and off they go. But I'm going to make an attempt to see if I can repair this one, and I've got enough time before winter that if it ends up still being a problem, then I'll buy a new one. But I think if I keep this gear in place, I think I'll be okay as far as parking it, because I got this spun around to where it was parked, and then I pulled the plug on it. Well, actually it stopped, so I knew it was in the parked position. Then I pulled the plug so I wouldn't accidentally hit the wiper motor again. But this is just ridiculous. So if you have one of these going bad, this might be what you're actually dealing with. And I don't know, I know the motor on this got just too hot to even touch, so I don't know if it's damaged by now or not. It may not have the power that it used to have or whatever, but I'm gonna attempt to repair this rather than spend the $100 on a rebuilt one. And probably all they do is pull these things apart, clean them out, smear some grease in it, and send them on their way. So I just thought I would show this, and I don't know how much more of this I'm going to show. I'm just going to start cleaning it up and packing it full of some sort of grease, and we'll see what happens. Okay, it's a few days later, and I finally got back to this. Got everything cleaned up really well, and decided to try something a little bit different instead of the heavy-bodied grease that Ford put in there, which I'm sure there's a good reason for that. And you know, obviously I'm not going to second guess the engineers, but I'm thinking this might work better now the way things are. But I use my Lubriplate motor assembly grease in this, mainly because it's a lighter body grease. It may not provide as much high film strength, say like on the gears there, and then also down here in the worm gear. But what I'm hoping for here is that this grease number one will help maybe keep the corrosion down a little bit, and also it'll flow a little bit better in the winter time when it's really cold out. So I packed everything as well as I possibly can. Even this shaft, I filled this shaft up, or actually the bore for the shaft, I filled that up with the Lubriplate so that there's some the whole way around, and I coated the shaft, pressed that in there. When you do this, there's a little step back in here, and you have to kind of drive this out. What I did is I have some aluminum rod that I used that I tapped on this so it wouldn't bang up the threads any, and it's kind of hard to drive that through that. It's almost kind of like a plastic retainer built right into this housing. And then once you do that, then that shaft slides right out of there. And the same conversely, putting this shaft back in there, you have to tap it past that little plastic step. And then once you do that, this this turns freely. Well, it does now. When I first pulled this thing apart, it was filled full of that dirt over there, and then the dirt that I cleaned out of here, I couldn't turn this. I could barely turn it with a pair of channel locks. It was packed so full. So I think this will work. In fact, I know that it works at the moment because I plugged this thing in real quick to check it, and then I decided to disassemble it and kind of show you what I did here before I put it back together for good. But I'm going to bolt this all back together, and then I'll probably, next time I show this to you, it'll probably be on the vehicle, and I'll show you how it works. Well, it's working now. If you happen to have one of these that's sticking like that, before you just turn it in and spend $100 on a new one, you might want to disassemble it and clean it out some, re-lube it, and you may be good to go.